the big question, is the persecution of Hindus of Bangladesh an internal matter? This when Bangladeshi Hindus themselves are calling for help from India and the United States. Not to forget the fact, does it even merit a ban on ISKON, which is a peace-loving organization? And with that, we have some breaking inputs in fact coming in right now. Alright, top government sources are telling CNN News 18 that Foreign Secretary is likely to brief a parliamentary panel on the update in Bangladesh. This will happen on 11th of December is what we are learning, and on 4th of December the panel will be briefed on the situation of India, Canada and the United States relations. Remember, these are two burgeoning diplomatic issues for New Delhi at the moment. Let's quickly go across to Payal Mehta, who's bringing us those breaking inputs. Payal, what are you learning and what can we expect now after that briefing, the role that India is playing, especially in Bangladesh?
Well, of course, this committee is being led by former External Affairs Minister Mr. Shashi Tharoor. The committee has decided that they will be discussing the issues concerning India's neighborhood and, of course, the other nations that India needs to explore other possibilities in terms of explaining their relationship with as well. And that is something which is going to happen. But very importantly, whatever will be briefed to the committee by the Foreign Secretary will just be for their own knowledge, will be for their knowledge. It will not become a part of any report. So that's something which is very, very important. In the past also, we saw them discuss the Israel war situation, but a report was not submitted before Parliament. And Dr. Shashi Tharoor was very, very categorical in telling all the MPs to keep the facts to themselves, because these are external issues that can actually impact India as a nation as well. So that's the reason the parliamentary panel will be briefed, but no report will be submitted. So obviously the Foreign Secretary on next Wednesday will come and brief the panel on the India, US and Canada relationships, and most importantly after that on the India-Bangladesh relationship on this 11th of December, Akansha.
All right. Many thanks to you, Payal, for bringing us those quick inputs. We'll, of course, be awaiting what comes out of that briefing on 11th of December. And with that, let's also talk about Dhaka's anti-Hindu prejudice, which has, in fact, become imminent in the last few days. Jamaat is convinced that only ISKCON can change the momentum in Bangladesh now, hence the move to ban ISKCON after jailing the voice of Hindus, which is Chinmoy Krishna Prabhudas. Dhaka has refused to take action on perpetrators of vandalism on Hindu temples, but jails ISKCON leader Chinmoy Krishna Prabhudas. A writ petition was filed in the Bangladesh High Court demanding a ban on ISKCON, a Hindu religious organization that in fact only preaches the Bhagavad Gita. Attorney General has now called ISKCON a religious fundamentalist organization. This when the perpetrators of violence, of mob fury are still at large. Bangladesh is mulling a ban on ISKCON, but let's see what the organization in fact stands for. Is also known as the Hare Krishna movement. It includes 500 major centers, temples, rural communities, nearly 100 affiliated vegetarian restaurants, thousands of namahatas or local meeting groups, monotheistic tradition within the Vedic or Hindu culture that's based on the Sanskrit texts of Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavad Puran or Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, ISKCON devotees chant God's names in the form of the Maha Mantra or the Great Prayer for deliverance. Members of ISKCON practice Bhakti Yoga in their homes and worship in temples. It promotes Bhakti Yoga or Krishna Consciousness through festivals, the performing arts, yoga, seminars, public chanting and the distribution of the society's literatures. And what are the purposes of ISKCON? It is to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, to propagate a higher consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, to bring the members of the society together, to teach and encourage the Sankirtan movement, to bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a simpler and more natural way of life. Now, CNN News 18 has also accessed inside track of developments in Dhaka. It's a CNN News 18 mega exclusive that we are bringing to you. That's also shared by our security affairs expert and investigations editor, Mr. Manoj Kumar Gupta. And this is talking about how radicals are in fact running amok and why ISKCON is also being targeted in the neighboring nation. Intel sources are telling CNN News 18, in fact, they've confirmed that radicals are compelling the US government to stay silent on attacks against Hindus and temples. Who's doing so? Well, we all know it's an open secret, the BNP and the Jamaat. Several compulsions are forcing US to let the radicals have a free run. Compulsion Number one, Yunus wants his interests to be maintained economically and politically. The second compulsion being the serious allegations that Muhammad Yunus was compelled to keep Jamaat-e-Islami members around him due to political pressure. The third compulsion is that Yunus is also keeping Jamaat around because they have significant influence within Bangladesh. And the fourth compulsion, sources say that Yunus is forced to keep a good relationship with Jamaat-e-Islami to ensure the smooth operation of Grameen Bank and its activities in rural Bangladesh. The fifth compulsion, Jamaat-e-Islami has a strong presence in several rural areas, and Yunus may have felt that it was necessary to engage with them to avoid any potential backlash. And with that, let me now open the floor to our guests. Let me introduce our esteemed panelists. I'm joined in by Siddharth Yadav, who's the spokesperson for the Bharatiya Janata Party, Rahul Ishwar, who's an activist, Professor Chandan Sarkar, who's a human rights activist and directly involved in this entire movement. I'm in fact also joined in by Sushant Sareen, who's a senior fellow at ORF. In fact, let me quickly begin with Professor Chandan Sarkar. Professor, first of all, what explains calling for a ban on a peace-loving organization like ISKCON, which is in fact globally renowned for its teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, for in fact preaching to its followers to keep a more spiritual lifestyle? What is so terrorist about it?
Actually, thank you very much, and I'm very happy to just join in here. You see, in Bangladesh now, Hindus actually discriminated by the states, and then another is right wings, Jamaats and BNPs also, and then even for Awami League as well. Hindus are depriving from the after 1971, and you see, to just save our life, there's so many Hindus just took a shelter in India. And their lands, that is they announced as enemy property. There is no any countries, these types of discriminations. Yes, I'm coming to your questions. That is, ISKCON is main targeted because Hindus are well networked and they're doing a very good for Hindus. And due to the ISKCONs, the Hindus are united, and that is the main threat. The Islamists, Jamaats, and they feel that they are not just doing forced conversions and other activities due to the ISKCON, because they are doing is very good. So that's why they feel very long period of time they're trying to ban, including in the Sheikh Hasina, like in 2021. But this is the time they feel anyhow they stop their activities in it. ISKCON, this is the movement when they feel the Hindus are united. We just did a program in Dhaka, Chittagong, in Rangpur. Millions and millions people are coming. They feel it is a big threat for them. So that's why they're trying to act line in a Jungis. ISKCON is a Jungis. Never. ISKCON is not doing any harmful. Rather, any natural disasters, any activities, ISKCON is the come fast. They provided food, medicine, shelter, regardless of religion.
Professor, thank you for in fact so eloquently highlighting the role of ISKCON, which is why I'd quickly like to bring in Rahul Ishwar. Rahul Ishwar, tell me, why shouldn't Indians today be questioning the fact that Bangladesh currently is threatened by ISKCON and the role that it's playing in not just protecting the minorities? Because remember, what Chinmoy Das is doing is not just for the protecting the rights of the Hindu minority, is also standing up for the rights of the Christians, is also standing up for the rights of the Buddhists, apart from, of course, fighting for protection of the Sanatan Dharma. And the way we've seen in the last 2 days, the way Chinmoy Das was in fact arrested, that mob fury, and the fact that the perpetrators of violence still remain at large, why shouldn't India right now believe that that ban on ISKCON that is being contemplated on is out of a sheer fear of insecurity?
Absolutely, yes. Akanksha ji, I believe India, as the largest Hindu majority nation, should take a strong stand, and we should not be secular shy about it. ISKCON is a pride of us, and anybody who is having any doubt about ISKCON should consult Steve Jobs and his legacy to know more about ISKCON. Steve Jobs, even in the most celebrated commencement speech on Stanford, rightfully mentioned that he had his meals from ISKCON and recollected his days or his moments with ISKCON. So ISKCON is a globally renowned one. Let us be very honest and call it Hindu phobia itself, Hindu messiah. So this kind of hatred towards our community is absolutely wrong, and India has a dharmic responsibility, being the largest Hindu majority nation. And please remember, even from pre-independence days, Mahatma Gandhi used to take a stand, and those people who are Sikhs and Hindus in Pakistan, or right now East Pakistan or Bangladesh, we should actively support them in all the ways we can. It's our dharmic responsibility. Hindu rights are human rights, and we should actively take up this cause. If India is not going to condemn this and take it upon an official level and raise the voice globally, who else is going to do it? Antarctica. So India has that responsibility, being that, and we should not be shy about these kind of things. We are a very pluralistic nation. We believe in harmony, and when our brothers are threatened on the other side of the border, it becomes our responsibility. And please remember, Bangladesh is a nation which was founded with the help of India too. So they have a kind of a debt and gratitude towards India that they should be remembering. And all the prayers and all the support to ISKCON, Hindu community should actively voice their support across the world through the media, through the social media, so that the people who are in power in Bangladesh will know that we will not take it lying down. We will be strongly opposing these kind of things, and we should be actively taking. And just one more point: if something happens bad in Palestine, we should protest. Nobody is saying no.
Right.
But the same thing is happening in Bangladesh.
Right.
We should not be silent. So then there is a double standard that we should be questioning.
No, and look at the way OIC has been standing up for the rights of Palestinians, which is why I'd like to quickly bring in Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, why can't India be an equivalent to OIC when it comes to protecting the rights of the Hindus? Who fights for the rights of the Hindus? We are talking, first of all, I'd like to ask this question: why are we even expecting an American intervention? Why are we even expecting an intervention to come from the US President-elect Donald Trump, or perhaps, the outgoing President Joe Biden? Why should we? Especially when we want to claim ourselves to be the leading voice of the global South, then why? Why expect that foreign intervention, and why not, in fact, be the messiah for rights of the Hindus in Bangladesh?
So, Akansha, first on the OIC question, I don't think India should emulate the OIC. The OIC is a tough organization. It's, in fact, very often it's said OIC is OIC because they normally don't really pull any weight. So, forget about OIC. I think India needs to pick up cudgels on behalf of...
No, the reason why I'm bringing OIC is also to give you an example of the way we see the Muslim Brethren or the Muslim Brotherhood, in fact, stand out for the rights of the Muslims across the board. Why should India be made to feel guilty if it is fighting for the rights of the Hindu minority in Bangladesh? Because that's what the rebuttal from the Foreign Ministry of Bangladesh was, that you are intervening in our internal affairs. Is this a matter of their own internal affairs when the Bangladeshi Hindus themselves are calling for help?
Look, genocide is not an internal affair of a country.
Yes.
Carrying out regular pogroms is not the internal affair of a country. I think that's an accepted principle in the international community, and which is why a lot of intervention takes place all across the world. So one is that's a nonsensical kind of a response that has come from the Bangladeshi government. Instead of taking responsibility for what is happening inside and ensuring that the kind of actions that are taking place, they have doubled down on the kind of persecution which is taking place, first and foremost. Secondly, can you imagine the irony of what the Bangladesh government is doing? It's blaming ISKCON not for anything else except for the fact that ISKCON is resisting the kind of discrimination and the kind of violence that is being visited upon the Hindus. And anyone who resists, anyone who organizes a resistance, anyone who protests, anyone who questions what is happening is obviously a terrorist. But the same government in Bangladesh, under the so-called Nobel Peace Laureate, has actually removed the ban on the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is the mothership of Islamist terror organizations in the entire subcontinent. First. Secondly, within the government, they have ministers who have very dubious links with Islamist organizations, including terror organizations. And thirdly, they have also ministers and members of the government who have been involved in all kinds of dubious activities in past regimes. So this is the record of the Bangladesh government. But on the other substantive question, Akansha, that you raised, I completely agree with you. I think it is the government of India is abdicating its responsibility by looking at the West, at the United States or at the UK or the European Union to interfere in this matter. This is our problem. Let the others follow our lead rather than we following their lead. And I personally think that the government of India should have a game plan on how they need to rescue them. Unfortunately, for example, the government of India does a very good thing by bringing in the CAA. But it takes them 4 years before they notify the law. And even then, only a very small number of people who had already come in 2014, that was the cutoff date, were allowed to gain the benefits of Indian citizenship. So what kind of protection are you offering the persecuted minorities in at least the 3 countries that were listed in the CAA? So my question to the government of India is that neither are you in a position or you are wanting to assert yourselves in what is happening in terms of persecution in these countries, and even when it comes to giving them relief by giving them some kind of rights if they come to India, you are lacking in that as well. And personally, I think this is simply not on. But looking at the why should the United States come on this matter?
Yes.
They do virtue signaling. They are the ones who are actually responsible for this clown show which is happening in Bangladesh, where lawlessness is the order of the day, businesses are failing, minorities are being persecuted. This is the gift of the United States to the subcontinent. So looking at United States for solutions, I think is a mug's game.
So where does our responsibility end? Does it just end with giving refuge to a Sheikh Hasina? That's the big question everybody is asking, because clearly Bangladesh has dumped the Awami League, they've dumped a Sheikh Hasina. What about the Hindus that, we've been talking about minority rights, we've been talking about protecting the rights of the Hindus in our own country, but when it happens in another nation, why are we behaving like mute spectator? We can't just let the matter be reduced to an MEA handout.
No, Akansha, I would not agree with that. The government in Delhi is definitely not acting as a mute spectator, because we have seen it is this government which has, in the strictest of language, opposed what has happened in Bangladesh. In all diplomatic strains that a government has to function, has put out resentment towards what is happening in our neighboring country. It is us who have identified and who has given voice to lakhs of Hindus who reside in Bangladesh and who have spoken against the persecution that has happened there. The statement of the Ministry of External Affairs is very clear in itself. Definitely it would bother, our neighboring nation or probably even others in the Western world. But we are very clear that since we are keeping a note of whatever developments are happening in the neighborhood, the government of India is ready for any actions. For
how long are we keeping a note? It's been happening since August, and we are only seeing this diplomatic rhetoric being exchanged between both the countries. And soon after we had Mohammed Yunus in fact take over as the interim advisor, there was a phone call which was a very civil and cordial one. Prime Minister Modi conveyed that message, but what is being done on ground level? Are there any refugee camps which we had set up for Rohingya Muslims, but what about those persecuted Hindus?
Akansha, I'm sure you would appreciate that any country, given the situation that we are in today, any government has some restrictions that they have to work with. Not everything can be spoken on national television. Not all that might be happening can be spoken by spokespersons. But all of us know the intent of the government in Delhi. All of us know that this is the one government in Delhi, probably one political party which is leading the government, which actually cares about the issue that is going on in Bangladesh. Because we have also seen the opposition in this country who is not even bothered to comment on the issue. Probably, they are more bothered to say what happens in Gaza, but there's nothing to say for Bangladesh. But leaving that aside, I think not everything can be spoken on national television, but the facts itself, what has happened in the past. We are the only country which has given refuge to Sheikh Hasina. We are the country which are trying for things to get normalized in Bangladesh. The kind of regime change that has happened there. Now, I'm sure you would appreciate in such a situation, any sovereign country, we can't be bombing Bangladesh. We can't be sending out missiles. But it is a diplomatic channel, international and also few things that happened, on different levels that not all can be discussed. Definitely, it happens only after the concerns of the government, and the government is very well concerned. The government has put out the intent. The government has very clearly came out and commented upon what is happening there. When we say that we as a government, we as a country are taking note of issues, it's not just a statement that we put out. It is that a sovereign country, a leading country in the South Asia is
right. The point that you've made, Siddharth, I've heard everything that you're saying. I also agree with you that not everything can be in fact put out there in the public domain. But Sushant, I'm sure you'll also agree that the kind of vandalism, the arson, the kind of deaths that are taking place in Bangladesh only go on to indicate that nothing is changing on ground level.
Yeah, and with all due respect to Mr. Yadav, he's put up a very valiant defense of what the government has been doing or not doing. But, it reminds me of your first question, OIC. That is how the OIC normally reacts, and which is what I hope we are not following that template first. Secondly, I think while I agree with what Mr. Yadav is saying, that yes, everything cannot be discussed on TV, in TV chat shows and debates. But the fact of the matter also is, Akansha, that when you make some kind of an intervention or you try and influence a certain situation, then not only must it be done, but some of it must be seen to be done, so that the message goes across that this kind of behavior in Bangladesh is not acceptable. I'm afraid there is no indication, at least I speak from what is available in the public domain. I'm not privy to confabulations which go out in the government. Mr. Yadav might be, but at least in the public domain, there is absolutely nothing to suggest that India has done anything more than just issue diplomatic missives so far. And I think that might be water off a duck's back as far as the government in Bangladesh and the Islamist government which has come into power in Bangladesh is concerned. You will of course see them giving interviews and coming out trying to pretend that this is a very revolutionary, very secular minded kind of a regime, but clearly it is not. Either it is utterly incompetent and it has absolutely no control over what is happening in the country, which means it's a failed regime, or it is complicit in what is happening. I think it is a bit of both.
It absolutely is complicit. I'm sure Professor Sarkar would agree, Professor Sarkar, because if it was such a democratic-minded government, you wouldn't see the way the Hindu temples, 3 just last night, have been torched down. Not to forget the fact that you have banned the student wing of the Awami League, but when it comes to your own government, you are giving a free hand to students who are becoming part of the mob fury on streets.
You see, like what actually we're telling is secularism and democracy. No, the total absent. And in few days before, you see, our Attorney General, he told clearly the secularism, there is no room in the secularism. 90% in this countries in Bangladesh. And you see, this is government, in numerous government, come to the power in the name of like equalities. There is no one is just like inequality. But you see, only they targeted only for one group. That is it's the minorities in Bangladesh. For the minorities, each and everything they are doing. So they just, I think, try to stop our voice. And so if we just, I think, raise our voice to do things, they always.
And that's why quickly I'd like to end with Rahul Ishwar's thoughts. When it comes to raising our voice, do you not think that India can use its economic leverage, considering the economy of Bangladesh right now is the Achilles heel? And if you look at the kind of cotton exports that are going from India, even the petroleum exports, that's the leverage which we have. And perhaps I'm sure Siddharth will also agree that that is the way, that is the dialogue, the economic dialogue, which we can perhaps use as leverage over Bangladesh.
Absolutely, yes. I hope authorities listen to your voice. And as a non-political Hindu activist who admires Narendra Modi ji, he has the global stature to influence things. We have seen even heads of state saying that he can intervene effectively even in the Russia-Ukraine issue. Narendra Modi ji should actively use his leverage. Perhaps, like Siddharthi said, he might be doing it. We don't know. But at least on public domain, just like Sushant sir said, it needs to be seen to be done because people needs to be reassured. Otherwise, it may even lead to some kind of heartburns and some kind of disharmony in India too, because
Absolutely.
there are two major communities in India too. There can be different ramifications. So we have to take care, and India has to bother. And we should be proudly and loudly saying India, being the largest Hindu majority nation, has a ethical responsibility for our Bangladeshi brothers.
Right.
If Mahatma Gandhi can say it, we should definitely say it.
Especially if India has to go and attend and tom-tom its status as the leading voice of the global south, it's high time that it speaks up for the minorities. And who speaks for the Bangladeshi Hindus is the big question that I'll leave our audiences with, the food for thought. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining in on The Right Stand. And with that, we slip into a quick break, but there's been a brutal crackdown on peaceful protesters in Pakistan. We have exclusive videos only on CNN News 18. We'll bring you all that and a lot more. Stay tuned to The Right Stand.
और आगे की यात्रा की बेहतर योजना बनाने के अवसर प्रदान करते हैं। ऐसे समारोह हमारी एकता को मजबूत बताने की तथा ये दर्शाते हैं कि राष्ट्रीय लक्ष्यों को प्राप्त करने के प्रयासों में हम सब एक साथ हैं। हमारे स्वाधीनता संग्राम के दौरान अनेक महान विभूतियों ने हमारे राष्ट्रीय आदर्शों को रेखांकित किया था। हमारी संविधान सभा में हमारे देश की विविधता को अभिव्यक्ति मिली थी। संविधान सभा में सभी प्रांतों और क्षेत्र के प्रतिनिधियों की उपस्थिति से अखिल भारतीय चेतना को शोर मिला था। संविधान सभा के वाद विवाद तथा सदस्यों के संबोधनों में हमें संविधान निर्माण की प्रक्रिया के साथ साथ अपने देश के बारे में गहरी जानकारी प्राप्त होती है। आज जिन पुस्तकों का विमोचन किया गया तथा जो शॉर्ट फिल्म्स दिखाई गई, उनमें लोगों को हमारे संविधान निर्माण के गौरवशाली इतिहास का परिचय प्राप्त होगा। एक अर्थ में भारत का संविधान कुछ महानतम मेधावी लोगों द्वारा लगभग 3 वर्षों के विचार विमर्श का परिणाम था, लेकिन सही अर्थ में ये हमारे लंबे स्वाधीनता संग्राम का परिणाम था। उस अतुलनीय राष्ट्रीय आंदोलन के आदर्शों को संविधान में अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण स्थान दिया गया। उन आदर्शों को सुस्पष्ट और संक्षिप्त रूप से संविधान की प्रस्तावना में व्यक्त किया गया है। ये आदर्श है न्याय, स्वतंत्रता, समता और बंधुता। ये आदर्श सदियों से भारत को परिभाषित करते हैं। संविधान की प्रस्तावना में उल्लिखित आदर्श एक दूसरे के पूरक है। समग्र रूप से ये सभी आदर्श ऐसा वातावरण उपलब्ध कराते हैं जिसमें हम नागरिक को फूलते फलते समाज में योगदान देने तथा साथी नागरिकों की मदद करने का अवसर मिलता है। माननीय संसदगण, संविधान की भावना के अनुसार कार्यपालिका, विधायिका और न्यायपालिका का ये दायित्व है कि वे सामान्य लोगों के जीवन को सुगम बनाने के लिए मिलजुल कर काम करें। संसद द्वारा पारित किए गए अनेक अधिनियमों से जौन आकांक्षाओं को अभिव्यक्ति मिली है। देश के आर्थिक एकीकरण के लिए स्वतंत्रता के बाद का सबसे बड़ा टैक्स सुधार गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज टैक्स को के रूप में किया गया है। वर्ष 2018 में राष्ट्रीय पिछड़ा वर्ग आयोग को संवैधानिक दर्जा प्रदान किया गया है। वुमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट की सोच को यथार्थ रूप देना सामाजिक न्याय के संवैधानिक आदर्शों को प्राप्त करने के लिए अनिवार्य है। नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम द्वारा हमारे लोकतंत्र में महिला सशक्तिकरण के एक नए युग की शुरुआत की गई है। दंड के स्थान पर न्याय तथा अपराध के स्थान पर सुरक्षा की भावना पर आधारित भारतीय न्याय संहिता, भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षा संहिता और भारतीय साक्ष्य अधिनियम को पारित करके सांसदों ने आधुनिक सोच को अपनाने का प्रभावशाली परिचय दिया है। ऐसे अनेक अधिनियमों को पारित करने के लिए मैं सभी सांसदों की सराहना करती हूँ। पिछले कुछ वर्षों के दौरान सरकार ने समाज के सभी वर्गों, विशेषकर कमजोर वर्गों के लोगों के विकास के लिए अनेक कदम उठाए हैं। ऐसे निर्णयों से लोगों का जीवन बेहतर हुआ है तथा उन्हें प्रगति के नए अवसर मिल रहे हैं। गरीब लोगों का अपना पक्का घर मिल रहा है, बिजली, पानी, सड़क की सुविधा मिल रही है, खाद्य सुरक्षा और चिकित्सा सेवाएं मिल रही है। देश में बड़े पैमाने पर विश्व स्तर का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाया जा रहा है। समग्र और समावेशी विकास के ऐसे अनेक प्रयास हमारे संवैधानिक आदर्शों को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। इस प्रयासों के लिए मैं सरकार की सराहना करती हूँ। उच्चतम न्यायालय के प्रयासों से देश की न्यायपालिका हमारे न्याय प्रणाली को और अधिक प्रभावी बनाने के लिए अनेक प्रयास कर रही है। न्यायपालिका विचाराधीन कैदियों को और जेल सुधार के विषयों पर भी कार्यरत है।
Welcome back. You're watching The Right Stand. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Pakistan is currently under major turmoil. Stability is under threat as Army Chief has ordered firing on civilians and shoot at sight orders have been passed. Top leadership is not seen and talking about it. Sensational army attack videos on unarmed citizens have been accessed exclusively by CNN News 18. The exclusive videos have been shared with us by our security affairs expert and investigations editor Manoj Kumar Gupta. And the 7 exclusive videos show the most brutal crackdown on political protests in Islamabad. According to sources close to Imran Khan, over 100 lives have been lost and several more are critically wounded. But none of that is being accounted for in the official figures. Officially, Pakistan government says that only 6 people lost their lives in these protests. Pakistan police and Pakistan Rangers are firing directly on peaceful protesters in Islamabad's Democracy Chowk, or D Chowk as it's popularly known. Islamabad firing is happening on the orders of the Interior Minister and Chief of Army Staff. Situation at the D Chowk in Islamabad was very tense last night. Thousands of Imran Khan supporters gathered. The regime had switched off the lights, and these exclusive videos are going to show you how tear gas, even firing, continued on the peaceful protesters, many of them who are PTI supporters. Remember, they were being led by Bushra Bibi, the former First Lady of Pakistan and the wife of Imran Khan, and she was also accompanied by the Chief Minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. She's currently missing. Reports are indicating that she fled as that violent crackdown was taking place on the PTI supporters. What were they demanding? Well, they were demanding the release of Imran Khan. Interestingly, all of this has happened when the Belarusian president Alexander Lukashenko is visiting Pakistan. In fact, CNN News 18 Security Affairs editor Manoj Kumar Gupta earlier also spoke to Imran Khan's aide Dr. Salman Ahmad. Listen in to that exclusive conversation.
Some reports are coming that Bushra Bibi and Ali Amin Gandapur are missing. What is your update?
I'm in New York at the moment, Manoj, but the reports I have got is that there is a massive, overwhelming turnout of Pakistanis into D Chowk, Islamabad, which has overwhelmed Army Chief Asim Munir's calculations. They had shut down the country, dug up trenches, placed containers, basically locked down Pakistan. But the public is coming in such huge numbers that they are now firing directly at the peaceful protesters. That's the first thing I can tell you. Today, Imran Khan has made a post on X in which he has congratulated Pakistanis for coming out peacefully and protesting for democracy, rule of law, independent judiciary, and the release of all the political prisoners been held for, over a year, including Khan Sahib himself. Now, I have just written an op-ed, Manoj, in which I have written about the real chances of this revolution being hijacked by the military and double agents within, elite circles. And once that is released, I can talk more clearly about that.
Sir, reports are coming that Bushra Bibi, Ali Amin, Gandapur, both are mysteriously disappearing. So, do you think that they can manage both of them? Army can take them on board, and after that they can also go against Imran Khan?
I would say that the only leader that Pakistanis recognize, 240 million Pakistanis and 10 million diaspora. The only leader they recognize is Imran Khan. There is nobody, no Bushra Bibi, no Ali Amin Gandapur. They have no standing. On February 8th, Manoj, 2/3 of Pakistan voted for Imran Khan's independent candidates without even knowing their names or their faces. So it is only Imran Khan. Now, there could be a great danger to Imran Khan's life. That I will concede that the only way Army Chief Asim Munir survives is by eliminating Imran Khan. And that is a huge danger. In Pakistan's history, look what happened with Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Look what happened to Fatima Jinnah. What happened to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, Benazir Bhutto. So at the moment, this revolution has come because of one man, that is Imran Khan. All of these other people that you're naming, these are political non-entities.
So how many deaths you are expecting, sir? Because no reports are coming, no media report is available on that.
There are multiple deaths, scores of deaths, but the people's, the momentum of the people as such, and their yearning for freedom, democracy, the same thing that Indians enjoy. What do Pakistanis want? Free, fair elections, independent judiciary, and a respect for basic human rights.
CNN News 18 is bringing you exclusive intel inputs that we are getting. In fact, according to top intelligence sources, Pakistan Army has a very poor human rights record. So what's happened in Islamabad should not be arriving as a shock, because the Pakistan Army has always targeted innocent people in Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan as well. Shooting at the civilian population is nothing new for them. Babra, Karamkar, Khyber, Jirga, Maidan, Waziristan, Kurram, Bajaur and other Pakhtun areas have been witness to this for a very long time. And that too, so shoot at sight orders that have been given by the Pakistan establishment should not be coming as a massive shock. Yesterday, what Islamabad has only witnessed, perhaps it's only a spillover effect of what's been happening in other areas, as we just listed, Bajaur, other Pakhtun areas that have already been a witness for a very long time. And with that, we cut to a quick break, but after the break, we'll be bringing you exclusive videos which will show you how the Sambhal riots in India's Uttar Pradesh were pre-planned. We'll be bringing you all of that and exclusive information as well. Stay tuned to The Right Stand.
और आगे की यात्रा की बेहतर योजना बनाने के अवसर प्रदान करते हैं। ऐसे समारोह हमारी एकता को मजबूत बताने की तथा ये दर्शाते हैं कि राष्ट्रीय लक्ष्यों को प्राप्त करने के प्रयासों में हम सब एक साथ हैं। हमारे स्वाधीनता संग्राम के दौरान अनेक महान विभूतियों ने हमारे राष्ट्रीय आदर्शों को रेखांकित किया था। हमारी संविधान सभा में हमारे देश की विविधता को अभिव्यक्ति मिली थी। संविधान सभा में सभी प्रांतों और क्षेत्र के प्रतिनिधियों की उपस्थिति से अखिल भारतीय चेतना को शोर मिला था। संविधान सभा के वाद विवाद तथा सदस्यों के संबोधनों में हमें संविधान निर्माण की प्रक्रिया के साथ साथ अपने देश के बारे में गहरी जानकारी प्राप्त होती है। आज जिन पुस्तकों का विमोचन किया गया तथा जो शॉर्ट फिल्म्स दिखाई गई उनमें लोगों को हमारे संविधान निर्माण के गौरवशाली इतिहास का परिचय प्राप्त होगा। एक अर्थ में भारत का संविधान कुछ महानतम मेधावी लोगों द्वारा लगभग 3 वर्षों के विचार विमर्श का परिणाम था, लेकिन सही अर्थ में ये हमारे लंबे स्वाधीनता संग्राम का परिणाम था। उस अतुलनीय राष्ट्रीय आंदोलन के आदर्शों को संविधान में अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण स्थान दिया गया। उन आदर्शों को सुस्पष्ट और संक्षिप्त रूप से संविधान की प्रस्तावना में व्यक्त किया गया है। ये आदर्श है न्याय, स्वतंत्रता, समता और बंधुता। ये आदर्श सदियों से भारत को परिभाषित करते हैं। संविधान की प्रस्तावना में उल्लिखित आदर्श एक दूसरे के पूरक है। समग्र रूप से ये सभी आदर्श ऐसा वातावरण उपलब्ध कराते हैं जिसमें हम नागरिक को फूलते फलते समाज में योगदान देने तथा साथी नागरिकों की मदद करने का अवसर मिलता है। माननीय संसदगण, संविधान की भावना के अनुसार कार्यपालिका, विधायिका और न्यायपालिका का ये दायित्व है कि वे सामान्य लोगों के जीवन को सुगम बनाने के लिए मिलजुल कर काम करें। संसद द्वारा पारित किए गए अनेक अधिनियमों से जौन आकांक्षाओं को अभिव्यक्ति मिली है। देश के आर्थिक एकीकरण के लिए स्वतंत्रता के बाद का सबसे बड़ा टैक्स सुधार गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज टैक्स को के रूप में किया गया है। वर्ष 2018 में राष्ट्रीय पिछड़ा बल आयोग को संवैधानिक दर्जा प्रदान किया गया है। वुमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट की सोच को यथार्थ रूप देना सामाजिक न्याय के संवैधानिक आदर्शों को प्राप्त करने के लिए अनिवार्य है। नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम द्वारा हमारे लोकतंत्र में महिला सशक्तिकरण के एक नए युग की शुरुआत की गई है। दंड के स्थान पर न्याय तथा अपराध के स्थान पर सुरक्षा की भावना पर आधारित भारतीय न्याय संहिता, भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षा संहिता और भारतीय साक्ष्य अधिनियम को पारित करके सांसदों ने आधुनिक सोच को अपनाने का प्रभावशाली परिचय दिया है। ऐसे अनेक अधिनियमों को पारित करने के लिए मैं सभी सांसदों की सराहना करती हूँ। पिछले कुछ वर्षों के दौरान सरकार ने समाज के सभी
Welcome back. Now, politics over the deaths of 5 people in Sambhal violence in Uttar Pradesh has deepened after the post-mortem report of the victims suggested most of them died of bullet injuries. This came after Superintendent of Police Krishna Consciousness on Tuesday said that some rioters in Sambhal were armed. Pellet guns were primarily used by the police to disperse the crowd and bring the situation under control. However, authorities were still investigating as to who fired the bullets causing the death of these 5 people. Moradabad's Divisional Commissioner Anjaneya Kumar Singh said that a knife has also been recovered from the riot-hit area and that there could be more minors involved in the violence. Let's also now look at some exclusive footages which show Sambhal riots were a pre-planned conspiracy. And I'll tell you why I say so, because in this exclusive video accessed by CNN News 18, watch how masked men can be seen armed with guns. One of the rioters is seen holding a country-made gun and pointing it towards police, while others in the background are seen hurling stones towards the police. Now, in the second video, that's armed rioters are in fact seen charging towards the police officers. They are seen holding stones and lathis. The video comes as proof backing the police claim that mobsters charged at them, following which they had to resort to the use of lathis and tear gas in a bid to control the situation on the morning of November 24th in Sambhal and to defend themselves. But what has turned heads in this footage now Watch how these masked men, armed with lathis and stones, try to destroy the CCTV footage when the clashes actually broke out in Sambhal 3 days ago. The video of the female stone pelters in Sambhal violence. In this video, it is clearly seen how women are also part of the mob. They are throwing stones from the roof. Women are pelting stones on the police from the rooftops. Police are looking for these stone pelting women on the basis of the CCTV video. This video is from the Hindu Kheda area near the mosque. After the stone pelting, all the houses here have been locked up. All the women along with their families are absconding at the moment after the stone pelting that took place. Who's responsible for this kind of mob fury? That's a question we'll be probing today on the Right Stand. And for that, let me introduce our esteemed panelists. I'm joined in by Mr. Manish Shukla, who's a spokesperson for UP-BJP, Sumaya Rana, who's a spokesperson for the Samajwadi Party, and Ashutosh Srivastava, who's a renowned lawyer. Many thanks to you, Sumaya, and the gentlemen for joining in. सुमैया राणा जी, बहुत ही स्पष्ट सवाल है मेरा। 19 नवंबर को जियाउर रहमान बर्क ने ये ट्वीट क्यों भेजा है? संभल शाही जामा मस्जिद है, मस्जिद रहेगी इंशाअल्लाह। ये जियाउर रहमान कौन होते हैं डिसाइड करने वाले कि ये मस्जिद थी और मस्जिद रहेगी?
जियाउर रहमान कौन होते हैं उसका जवाब आपको भी मालूम है। वो बाकायदा जनप्रतिनिधि हैं, चुन करके सदन में गए हैं और इस देश की सबसे बड़ी सदन का हिस्सा है और उस जगह से ताल्लुक रखते हैं, बल्कि उनके दादे परदादे और एंसेस्टर्स जहाँ पे वो जामा मस्जिद स्थित है। और दूसरी चीज मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ, तो
आप कोर्ट जाइए और केस लड़िए। आप
हाँ बिल्कुल, उन्होंने
सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे ऐसे भड़काऊ बयान देंगे तो जो आज हमने हर्ष देखा है वहां पे वो तो होना ही है।
नहीं, देखिए, मस्जिद थी, मस्जिद है, मस्जिद रहेगी में क्या, मस्जिद एग्जिस्ट कर रही है वहां पे और कानून और संविधान की अगर बात करें उसके तहत भी वो मस्जिद है और उसको रहना चाहिए आगे भी। और किसी किस्म की जंग का ऐलान नहीं हुआ। जो सिचुएशंस वहां पैदा की जा रही थी, जो कुछ भी वहां पे सिनेरियो था पिछले कई एक आध हफ्ते से और पीछे से चल रहा है।
नहीं खुल के बोलिए, किस सिनेरियो की आप बात कर रही हैं? ऐसे दबे लफ्जों में बात मत करिए।
मैं दबे लफ्जों में कहा? मैंने तो सबसे ज्यादा खुल के कहा उस
सिनेरियो की आप बात कर रही हैं। ये तो कोर्ट मॉनिटर्ड प्रोब है, तो इसमें क्या छेड़खानी की गई है?
नहीं, कोर्ट मॉनिटर्ड तो है, लेकिन ऐसी क्या जल्दबाजी थी कि 2 घंटे के अंदर याचिका दायर भी की जाती है और उसके बाद 1.5 घंटे के अंदर सर्वे भी चालू हो जाता है। ना तो मस्जिद कहीं भागी जा रही थी, ना तो संभल कहीं भागा जा रहा था, कोई भागा तो नहीं जा रहा था। ये चीजें तो एक प्रॉपर वे में भी हो सकती थी। क्यों? इसलिए क्योंकि वहां के हालात, अभी इलेक्शन कंप्लीट हुए हैं और उसमें उस दौरान भी बहुत सारी ऐसी घटनाएं सामने आई थी जिसको देखते हुए एक माहौल पहले से तनावपूर्ण बना हुआ था। और उसी बीच में मस्जिद या मंदिर या किसी भी गिरजाघर, कोई भी एक धार्मिक स्थल को लेके अगर इतनी आनन फानन में फैसले होंगे तो उस पे कुछ ना कुछ देखिए तनाव होगा।
I'd like to bring you
तनाव होना तय है।
वो कह रही हैं कि तनावपूर्ण माहौल था वहाँ का। क्यों इतनी हड़बमबाजी में ये सर्वे किया गया? Even though we all acknowledge the fact that it has been a court monitored probe that was in fact permitted by the Advocate Commissioner.
देखिए, देश का कानून और संविधान देश के किसी भी व्यक्ति को ये अधिकार देता है कि अपनी आस्था के अनुसार अगर वो प्रैक्टिस करना चाहता है कहीं तो कोर्ट में जा सकता है। उसी आधार पर कुछ लोग कोर्ट गए थे और माननीय न्यायालय ने आदेश दिया था कि सर्वे होना चाहिए और माननीय न्यायालय के आदेश के अनुपालन के क्रम में वहाँ के प्रशासन और पुलिस ने व्यवस्था की थी। तो हमको लगता है कि अदालत पर तो सबको भरोसा रखना चाहिए। और 19 तारीख को जब सर्वे हो गया तो 24 को फिर दूसरा सर्वे इसलिए रखा गया कि 19 को देर शाम हो गई थी और उसी दिन जो कोर्ट कमिश्नर है उसने न्यायालय में विषय रखा था कि अभी पूरा सर्वे नहीं हो पाया है। यानी बीच में 4 दिन 20, 21, 22, 23 4 दिन था जिसमें उसी अदालत में या डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज के यहाँ या हाई कोर्ट के यहाँ समाजवादी पार्टी भी जा सकती थी। जो प्रवक्ता बैठी हैं तर्क दे रही हैं कि क्यों तुरंत हो गया, कोर्ट जा सकती थी कि भाई हमको आपका आदेश नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, आप इसको ठीक करिए, आदेश को इसको मॉडिफाइड करिए। लेकिन चूंकि अखिलेश यादव, राम गोपाल यादव समाजवादी पार्टी के नेताओं को तो मुसलमानों के बच्चों को के हाथ में पत्थर देके उनको दंगाई बनाना है, अपनी राजनीति सीधी करनी है।
सुमैया राणा, आप किस तरह रिस्पॉन्ड करना चाहेंगी? सुमैया राणा, I'd like to quickly bring you in because ये पहली बार नहीं है कि ऐसा सर्वे हो रहा है. हमने वाराणसी में भी देखा है, मथुरा में भी देखा है, धार में भी देखा है, सेम पिटिशनर्स के द्वारा देखा है. पर जिस तरह का माहौल क्रिएट किया गया, उनके पिटिशनर्स से हमारी बात हुई थी, विष्णु जैन वहाँ पर मौजूद थे और इतना भयानक एटमॉस्फेयर वहाँ था कि वो अपनी जान के लिए बिल्कुल वरीड थे उस टाइम पे. तो
बिल्कुल
आप कह रही हैं कि ये तो होना ही था.
यही सवाल समाजवादी पार्टी का है कि ऐसा सर्वे में ऐसी कौन सी मामला था जिसको लेके मामला इतना तनावपूर्ण हो गया. इससे पहले सर्वे काशी विश्वनाथ में भी हुआ.
आप तो जानती हैं क्यों तनावपूर्ण था, बताइए, खुल के बोलिए ना.
बिल्कुल मैं बता रही हूँ. उसके अलावा जो अभी प्रवक्ता महोदय भारतीय जनता पार्टी के ये कह रहे थे कि समाजवादी पार्टी चाहती थी कि मुसलमानों के बच्चों के हाथ में पत्थर हो, मुसलमानों के साथ ज्यादती और अत्याचार की सीमाएं भारतीय जनता पार्टी लांघेगी. पोस्टर्स पर मुसलमानों के फोटो लगे होंगे, महिलाओं के लगे होंगे, उन महिलाओं के लगे होंगे जिनका उससे दूर दूर तक वास्ता नहीं होगा. फिर संभल में भी ये थ्रेट दिया जाएगा कि पोस्टर्स लगेंगे और आप बात कर रहे हैं कि बहुत बड़े हितैषी बनने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. समाजवादी पार्टी हमेशा से हर वायलेंस के खिलाफ रही है और आज भी खिलाफ है और इसकी गहन जांच होनी चाहिए. और जांच भी यकीनी तौर पर अगर ये जांच ठीक तरीके से हो गई तो इसमें जो तथ्य निकलकर और सच जो सामने आएगा वो वाकई सबको हैरान कर देने वाला होगा. क्योंकि ये जो
हैरान करने वाला तो है, सीसीटीवी की जो फुटेज आई है उससे बड़े सारे सवाल उठ रहे हैं.
जो पत्थरबाजी और डंडेबाजी चल रही थी उसका सच सामने आना बहुत जरूरी है कि
हाँ, तो पत्थर कौन फेंक रहा था, कौन पत्थर फेंक रहा था, ये बहुत बड़ा एक सवाल उठता है. इनफैक्ट आई विल टेक दैट क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम आशुतोष श्रीवास्तव एज वेल, बट आई वुड लाइक टू टेक अ रिबटल फ्रॉम मनीष शुक्ला. मनीष शुक्ला, अपना पॉइंट बताइए.
देखिए, दो बातें हैं. 19 तारीख को जब सर्वे हो गया उसके बाद समाजवादी पार्टी का स्थानीय सांसद जियाउर रहमान बर्क ने बयान दिया मस्जिद की सीढ़ियों पे खड़े होके कि जो आपने भी दोहराया, मस्जिद थी, मस्जिद है, मस्जिद रहेगी, और भड़काऊ भाषण दिया. इसके बाद वहां के स्थानीय विधायक का बेटा सुहेल इकबाल वो उस भीड़ के साथ था. इन लोगों ने कॉन्स्पिरेसी रची है, राजनीतिक साजिश थी. चूंकि 23 तारीख को जब उत्तर प्रदेश में उपचुनाव के रिजल्ट आए तो समाजवादी पार्टी को पच नहीं रहा था कुंदुर्की में जिस तरह से रिजल्ट आए, तो इनको लगता है समाजवादी पार्टी को, कांग्रेस को, कि अगर मुसलमान के लड़के समझ गए बात को तो इनके साथ नहीं जाने वाले हैं. उनको दंगाई बना दो, अपराधी बना दो, फिर सिंपैथी के शब्द प्रयोग करो. ये जो जियाउर रहमान बर्क है, अभी इन्होंने बताया ना उनके दादे परदादे भी सांसद थे, अपने 3 पीढ़ी से सांसद और विधायक बना रहे बच्चों को.
मैं एक बहुत ही सिंपल सवाल सुमैया राणा आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी. आपने कहा कि समाजवादी पार्टी ऐसे लोगों की पार्टी है जो बहुत ही पीस लविंग पार्टी है. मेरे सामने एक ट्वीट रखा हुआ है जो जियाउर रहमान ने इनफैक्ट रीपोस्ट किया है. He has opposed police deployment. उन्होंने साफ साफ सवाल उठाया कि प्रशासन ने इतनी पुलिस फोर्स क्यों लगाई है, कोई जंग नहीं लड़ी जा रही है. जंग नहीं लड़ी जा रही थी तो पुलिस फोर्स की डिप्लॉयमेंट से आपको क्या प्रॉब्लम थी?
चाहते थे वहां बदला करना.
सुमैया राणा,
एक माहौल बनाने के लिए किया जा रहा है. उसका सबसे बड़ा उदाहरण तो ये है कि एक महिला को, यानी कि मुझे अगर इन्हें हाउस अरेस्ट करना है तो 2-3 कांस्टेबल से काम नहीं चलता है. ये पीएससी की पूरी एक कंपनी भेजते हैं, उसके साथ 4-5 थानों की पुलिस भेजते हैं, साथ में उनके टीयर गैस भी होती है. व्हाट इज दिस? मुझे एक अकेली महिला को रोकने के लिए तो आप ये सोचिए कि ये माहौल बनाते हैं.
पर ये अकेली महिला तो थी नहीं ना.
तो वहां का तो मामला एक बहुत ही गंभीर मुद्दा था. वहां पे मालूम था कि एक मस्जिद का बड़ा मुद्दा चल रहा है, तो उस पर इन्होंने जो एक पूरा औरा तैयार किया उसको लेकर के एक प्रेशर लोगों पे बनाने की कोशिश की गई थी. तो इस पर वाकई ऑब्जेक्शन होना लाजमी था.
Ashutosh, I want to quickly bring you in. Thank you so much for so patiently awaiting your turn. First of all, the role that the CCTV footage is playing at the moment, it's of course standing testimony to a host of factors that have now arrived, raising several questions in terms of the masked men who've arrived with lathis and stones. How are the rioters able to get hold of country-made pistols? Is there a larger plot behind what transpired in Sambhal? I also want to ask you the role that the management committee of the mosque has played. There was a lot of misinformation doing the rounds that there was no permission given by the court for a second survey, which in fact has been sort of contradicted by the Hindu side lawyer. And do you think that also sort of has played the kind of role in instigating this mob fury in Sambhal?
See, first of all, this is really unfortunate that anybody is blaming each other or the political parties. First of all, a court's order cannot be a part of political issue, first of all, and no politician should have got involved himself or herself into any court's order. See, the courts have to be respected in this country, and the orders of the courts of course have to be complied and has to be respected. If somebody is not happy with the court's order, they have the constitutional remedies available. They could have challenged that order before the higher court. They could have got the stay if they had any merit in the case. But to politicize and to create a situation like a situation in a country is not at all acceptable to the citizens of this country. And I think whether it's anybody who has been involved into such kind of riot, or any political party, or a particular member of parliament or MLA or whoever it is, they have to understand that the constitution of this country has to be respected. The orders of the courts have to be respected. They cannot just indulge into like this and create a havoc in the country and put the civilians' lives into danger. This is not at all expected from the elected members who have been elected by the people of this country with a lot of hopes and faith that they will do justice. So this is really shameful whatever has happened. Now, if we see the legal part of it, see, many are arguing that as per the Places of Worship Act 1991, yes, the whatever this the status of whether it is a religious place, whether it is temple, whether it is mosque, or whether it is whatever it is, has to be continued like that as it was as of 15th August 1947. But at the same time, we have to understand that as per Section 4 of the same Places of Worship Act, there are certain exceptions which says that if there is any ancient monument which is covered under the provisions of the Ancient Monument and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958, then such ancient monuments have to be examined whether it really comes under the 1958 Act or not. And if it, for that purpose, if the court is passing orders for the archaeological survey, taking even the reports which was made, in this case we can say see the ASI report which was prepared in 1879, which also confirms something about the attack which was made by Babur, etc. But see, this is something the court is trying to examine. The court has not passed any order as of now that the religious character of a particular place has to be changed. It is only doing the survey, and for that particular survey, there are certain laws which have been taken into consideration by the court while passing such order.
And in fact, the opposition's also questioned the nature of the ASI. They are alleging that ASI is also being religious over here. It's the very same ASI that had ruled out the fact that Taj Mahal is not a temple, it is a tomb. And I'd like to end with Manish Shukla's closing thoughts. Manish Shukla, सबसे बड़ा लांछन बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट पे लगाया जा रहा है कि लॉ एंड ऑर्डर फेलियर है। आपने सुना सुमैया राणा भी क्या कह रही हैं कि गर्मा गर्मी का माहौल था, इतनी जल्दी क्या थी, जय श्री राम के चांट्स लग रहे थे। जो पुलिस अफसर आए हैं हमारे चैनल पे सबने बोला है कि किस तरह का ये बहुत ही मैसिव लॉ एंड ऑर्डर फेलियर था। इस तरह की मॉब एक दिन में ओवरनाइट तो प्रिपेयर नहीं हो गई थी। आप मानते हैं कि ये सबसे पहले गवर्नेंस फेलियर है?
देखिए, एक राजनीतिक साजिश थी जो प्रशासन,
पर आप उस राजनीतिक साजिश का शिकार कैसे हो गए?
मैंने कहा, उसके दूसरा शब्द आप अगर सुन ली होती तो मैं उसी पे आ रहा था। मैंने कहा ना कि जो भी प्रशासनिक चूक थी, देखिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी और हमारी सरकार कहीं जिम्मेदारी से भागने वाली सरकार नहीं है। जहां चूक है उसको भी हम स्वीकार करेंगे, लेकिन राजनीतिक साजिश थी और कोर्ट के आदेश का अनुपालन कराना सरकार और प्रशासन का दायित्व होता है। उस अनुपालन के क्रम में पुलिस का केवल इतना रोल था कि वहां जो सर्वे करने वाली टीम गई है उसकी सुरक्षा करना।
Alright.
और उसके नाते से वहां उसको उस टीम की सुरक्षा में पुलिस लगी थी।
जी मनीष
लेकिन
जी,
बड़ा आश्चर्य ये है कि
बहुत दुख की बात है कि ये संभल का जो भी वायलेंस रहा है उससे काफी डिवाइसिव रिफ्ट्स अब बाहर आ रहे हैं उत्तर प्रदेश के। आई डू होप दैट द उत्तर प्रदेश एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन विल बी एबल टू एड्रेस दैट, एंड विद दैट इट्स अ क्विक रैप फ्रॉम माय एंड। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वाचिंग। अप नेक्स्ट इज द ब्रास टैक्स विद ज़ाका जेकब।
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. The arrest and 10-day police custody of ISKCON monk Chinmoy Prabhu Das has squarely shone the light on the persecution that Hindus are facing in Bangladesh. Now, according to an organization that keeps track of the instances of violence